Alright, here's our review from today. I have to do what's inside first. That's the parentheses, even though they're absolute values. 1 minus 6 is negative 5. Absolute value of negative 5 is 5. I must do the multiplication here before I do the subtraction. So that's 15. So that's 8 minus 15 is negative 7. Inside the parentheses, that's 5 minus 9. 5 minus 9 is negative 4. And then minus a negative makes it a positive. 14 minus 16 is negative 2. This is my input. I'm inputting into h of x. Here's h of x. I'm inputting a negative 1. So that's my x values. My input and my output would be the y, which is negative 2. Input a negative 1 and you get out negative 2. I input into f of x a negative 3. So I input in a negative 3. Negative 3 squared is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. And then it's 2 minus 27 is negative 25. I just did the order of operation. I had to do the exponent before I did the multiplication. Now my output is negative 15 for g of x. So g of x is equal to this guy. So I'm going to plug in negative 15 as my output and find my input. So I subtracted 9 from both sides. So that gives me negative 24. I divided by negative 6 on each side, and I got 4. My output is negative 3. That's my y value. My output is negative 3, so I have to find my input, which is 5. So if I inputted 5, I'd get out negative 3. 5, negative 3. Determine which of the following relationships could be a function. Does every one of these give me a consistent answer? So plug in 1, I get out 5. Plug in 1, I get out 5. Good. Plug in 2, I get out 5. Plug in 2, I get out 5. So 2 is consistent. 5, you get 4. 5, you get 4. So it is a function. If I plug in negative 2, I could get out 2 different answers. Not consistent, not a function. My domain is my possible x values. What's my smallest x value? It's at negative 4. Negative 4. The open circle means it cannot equal 4. And then my largest x value is at 4. And that open circle says it cannot equal 4. My range is my possible y values. The smallest one is negative 2. The largest one is 2. And it can equal it because of this dot. If I plugged in negative 2 as my input, I'd get out 2. And it can equal it. Lowest x value is my domain, and that's negative 4, and it can equal it because it's a filled in dot. My largest x value goes all the way into infinity because of that arrow pointing in that direction. My range is my smallest y value, and it is at 0, and my largest y value is at 3. Two squared is 4. P squared, Q squared. 3 squared is 9. P to the 4th raised to the 2nd gives you P to the 8th. When you have a power raised to a power, you're just multiplying the exponents. And then Q to the 3rd raised to the 2nd. It's Q to the 6th. 9 times 4, 36. P squared and P to the 8th is P to the 10th. Q to the 2nd, Q to the 6th. Means I have 2 of them multiplied together here, 6 of them multiplied together. It's a total of 8. You just add the exponents when you're just multiplying, and the bases are the same. This one's a lot more difficult. So now I have 2 cubed, which is 8, a cubed, b cubed, and then I just rewrote this part, and on the bottom I have 4 squared, which is 16, 4 squared, which is 16, a to the 5th raised to the 2nd is a to the 10th, b to the 3rd raised to the 2nd is b to the 6th, and then I have 24, a to the 4th, b to the 10th, and I just rewrote these guys over here, and then I have to reduce this. This is 3 times 8, and this is 2 times 8. So I'm left with a 3 on the top, 2 on the bottom, because the 8s would cancel out, a to the 4th over a to the 10th, 4 of them would cancel out, leave me 6 on the bottom, b to the 10th over b to the 6th, you would have 4 left on the top. Subtract 5 from both sides, you get 42. Divide by -3 on each side, you get -14. Add 2x to both sides to get rid of the x on this side and get them all on one side. And then I subtracted 17 from both sides, and that gave me a 0 equals 8x. Well, 0 times 8 gives me 0, so x equals 0. Combine like terms and I get 3. I subtracted 3x from both sides, and I brought down my 14. Subtract 14 from both sides, and I get my -11. Divide by 3 on both sides. That's how I get that fraction. Combine like terms. Combine like terms. Subtract 3x from both sides. Subtract 6 from both sides. Divide by 5 on each side, and I get 6 over 5. And the last one. I always look at this figure first and compare these two. This one had 2, so this one was added on top. This one had 2 here, so these 2 were added on the bottom. And then I look to see if that was consistent. And then if I shade these 2 in, I can see what the 0 one looks like. So 1, 2, 3, 4, so the 0 figure had 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 1 had 7, and that's how you can figure them out. But you also know they're adding 3 each time, so I just added 3 each time. And that, how it's changing is your slope. Slope is how it changes, and that's how I knew that was 3x. This is my y-intercept. That's where it starts at, so that's 4. And then to find the 110th figure, you just plug it in for the x, and you solve.